on penalties, and they've qualified for the finals of the SAFF Women's Championship 2024. So many congratulations to the women representing Nepal. So what's already a good Sunday for the beautiful nation of Nepal could be turning into a glorious Sunday Monday, because we are ticking towards the wee hours already in Kathmandu. We have said we will get to your questions. It's 10:15 back home, back in my second home in Kathmandu and Pokhara and Biratnagar, Bhairawa, all the way down to the Terai region, Sudar Parsham, and all the way across the more than 31 million people that live in the most special of places. We're going to get to those questions now, and plenty of them coming in. Our apologies. We got sidetracked by the brilliance of this Anil Sand Sheikh partnership. Edge, they're going to be 4. No slip in place. And, well, it really sums up the way things are going for USA right now. Well bowled, Jesse Singh. Anil Shah and Sheikh, they don't need to attack. They're getting enough bad balls. Probably trying to force a stroke that wasn't quite there. And he gets lucky to get a boundary.
Yeah, we've seen him try to run it very fine. This one's a genuine edge. He is trying to play to third man, but a real genuine edge. And again, Manik Patel had no opportunity to get out there. And a lot of this is the aggressiveness and just the intent in the field. Richie Barrington 2 days ago, second slip, you reckon all the way till the 22nd over. No slip, and we're over number 14. When you won the toss, chose to bowl first for the swing, you miss out.
It's a listless performance right now, isn't it? It really is. Let's start with a question you've received as you get to the end of the 14th. It's 90 for none. This one comes from Sarah G on Twitter. He says, it's a USA fan here. The question about Stuart Law, is Sarav Netravalkar going to make a statement? We would directly like to hear the player's perspective. Well, Netravalkar is no longer the captain, so I'm not sure why it would be him making a statement. He was the captain before. Will we hear something collectively from the players, potentially?
You would hope so, but based on what Manik Patel said at the toss, right, it seems, based on what he's given us, that the players aren't really focused on that, they didn't really have a say as to why that happened. I think the reason he's asking for Netravalkar just because he has become almost like global face of American cricket thanks to his World Cup performances and what he did in Major League Cricket, but you would think at some point the players would have to make some sort of statement, just with how vague we felt the press release was from the USA. Just think something more direct would come out.
Yeah, so our apologies. We don't know is the answer on that front. We probably will have a few we don't know questions, but we're happy to get those answers to you as we go. We are getting lots of questions from people as to where to watch in Nepal as well. That is on sticksports.com, STYX. Well, probably pointless me saying it, as this is clipped away for what's going to be 4 more. Outfield's quick, runs continue to flow, and if Harmeet Singh is leaking them, well, I'm not sure where the economy is going to come from. USA are being blown away here, and it's 50 for Asif Sheikh off just 46 deliveries. He's got there with another elegant stroke. Yes, not a great delivery, but how well has he played? The Nepal fans are loving every second of this, Aman. It's a 13th career 50 for Asif Sheikh.
He's been so good. He was red hot form in Canada. He's taking that down here. And as much as how bad the USA have been, he's been even more brilliant with the straight drives. Everything has been in control, and he deserves a 50.
Another misfield, and it's Jesse Singh. Well, this is starting to go from bad to worse. It really is, and now a throw to Kenjige that nearly goes awry. They could have thought of a third there, but they're happy with just the 2. Is this going to turn around? Can this change, Aman? It looks like this is so reminiscent of 48 hours ago, the bowling and fielding performance we saw from USA.
And Nepal haven't been pressured to do anything, right? We both speculated you win the toss, you probably get yourself back in the game. But Asif Sheikh has been allowed to play the way he wants to. Saad's been allowed to play the way he wants to. There's been very few opportunities where you say, oh, the USA are on top. Even just on an individual ball, maybe 2 balls early from Netravalkar. But besides that, it's been, Nepal are just in cruise control. They've been in first gear the entire time and haven't needed to get out of it. And unless the wicket falls in the next 5 or so overs, Again, this could be a really long day for the USA.
I think you're spot on, and it's not just 300 plus that's on the cards here for Nepal. Let's call a spade a spade. It's a lot more than that if they keep going the way in which they're going. They've looked completely untroubled. Better from Harmeet Singh. Still 7 runs from the over. 15 have been bowled. It is 97 for none. Well, the messages continue to come in on social media. I'm getting in trouble in Nepal from Sudeep, who's telling me you always mention Kathmandu and Pokhara and Lalitpur, which is one of the parts of the twin cities that I love so much. Bhaktapur as well, Bharatnagar and Bharawat. Why do you never mention Niam? And I'm sorry, I will mention Niam. It's a district up in the Koshi province. And like so many parts of Nepal, beautiful hilly region, most famous for producing Nepali tea. Now, Sri Lanka might be famous for tea, Bangladesh too, and India, but Nepali tea, some of the best in the world. So big shout out to Sudeep there in Iam. I hope I pronounced Iam correctly. Always try my best with my Nepali pronunciations. And Jitan Katwal getting in touch and celebrating that amazing victory for Nepal over India for the women's football team. To give you a comparison, Aman, it's a bit like Ireland beating England. It's something I think that for Nepal to beat India in anything. What a great story. And yeah, many congratulations to them. I know great scenes of celebration. Who's America's rival? Is it Canada? Is it that simple?
In the cricketing sphere, really a lot of things, Canada is that team that you would compare yourself to. When football, soccer, as it's called down here, the England game always seems to have a different type of meaning for us.
Mexico?
Mexico would also have...
Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico's always...
Because obviously they always qualified through what's it called? CONCACAF, isn't it?
CONCACAF, yeah.
So they've got to get through that kind of Central and North American qualifier.
Yeah.
Did they miss out on one recently, did they?
They did miss out on one.
Big surprise.
Big surprise because you have Christian Pulisic playing very good at the moment. He's playing in Europe in the moment, and it was probably the team a lot of people felt were better than the last edition of it, and they just weren't able to get over the line.
You rightly said as well, it's soccer here, not football, because there's only one thing is football, not just in America,
and it's a Sunday,
particularly in Texas, and not just Sunday. It's an NFL Sunday, of course. But what about that college football Saturday yesterday?
Brilliant. For those who've never experienced college football in person, on TV it's one thing where you see the folks, but you'll get at minimum in a non-football school where I went, 30,000 people in the stadium.
There was over 100,000 at the Texas A&M game last night.
And if you're here in Texas,
I couldn't believe it.
In high school football, my aunt, she has a son who attended the school, Katy High School.
And the first wicket falls. It's come from nowhere. And a roar of delight from Jesse Singh, maybe a roar of relief. I said that Sheikh and Saad didn't need to do anything in terms of playing aggressive strokes. Don't know if Jesse Singh is feeling the heat or maybe feeling some emotion. He's just got one to bounce a little bit more. And the hardcore USA fans, there's a few of them in. They're on their feet cheering. It's broken what was a 98-run partnership that looked completely unflustered and just given the USA some relief.
Well, they needed that. The USA haven't taken a wicket in 48 hours. And like you rightfully said, just kind of out of nowhere, slight angle back in, a little bit of extra bounce, probably a soft dismissal in the end, but you can see how much it means to Jesse Singh. They needed something to go their way, and it's finally gone in the American direction.
Well, as so often we see right on the cusp of a drinks break. It would have been drinks at the end of this over. Pupadu Dasanayake, the Nepal team mentor in the background there, gives Asif Sheikh a warm round of applause. But I think that Asif Sheikh will feel as though he's thrown away a century there, because it's a wicket that's come from nothing thanks to an aggressive stroke. It takes us to that drinks break. We'll take a break here too in the commentary box. with 15.4 overs bowled. They've mainly belonged to Nepal, but USA have a window into this game. It's 98 for 1. Oh, we missed a ball there. Welcome back. Apologies, just missed the one ball there. We were caught short by what was a very short drinks break. It was just worked for a single by the new man, Kushal Bertel. Tell you why we were also caught a bit short. I'll be honest, man, we were watching the penalty shootout, the highlights of it, weren't we? You can probably hear it in the background there. I'll have to mute that. But amazing history for the Nepal women's team. Great delight. Look at the goalkeeper. And what a crowd there in the National Stadium.
Brilliant.
Right next to the World Trade Center there in Kathmandu, the National Stadium that had to be rebuilt after that earthquake in 2015. They're through to the final. As this one comes off the thigh pad, half an appeal, but no real interest from USA. It has been hosted in Nepal, the South Asian Football Federation's 2024 Women's Championship. There are, let me just get this right, 7 competing teams, and Bangladesh and India progressed from the Group A, and Nepal and Bhutan progressed from Group B, and then into the semi-finals that were both held today. In the early game, Bangladesh hammered Bhutan 7-1, but then it was a 1-1 draw that went down to penalties, and just amazing scenes. I'm showing you some of them here in the background. It looks like a capacity crowd there on what will be a Sunday night. Dhaka topis and the beautiful flag of Nepal flying everywhere. Amazing scenes, not just for Nepal, but for women's sport. That's really heartening to see. Yeah,
You love women's sport, and it feels men's sport only go as far as women's sport go alongside them. It's a huge platform that you can take, and you love to see the huge crowds all over the place, and it's brilliant.
Only ever seen that in and around the TU International Cricket Ground.
Graphics on the floor, mate.
Yeah, and to see women's sport get the kind of reception it does, even here in the States, it's starting to see it get picked up more and more. I remember at the Field Hockey National Championships in UNC Chapel Hill. It was hosted there. UNC was in it. Women's sport in the collegiate level, and packed out crowd. Everyone was just piling in, trying to find any space on the concourse, out on the pavilion. It was quite brilliant to see those scenes. And
also a bit of breaking news from the cricket world. The ACC Men's Emerging Team Cup final today in Muscat in Oman. Afghanistan have beaten Sri Lanka to win that competition for the first time. The rise of the Afghan Atalan, well, it just seems unstoppable, doesn't it? Siddiqullah Atal, who's had an amazing tournament in the runs again with 55 not out, and you can imagine the scenes of jubilation back in Kabul there for their A team. What a series he has had. Listen to these numbers from Siddiqullah Atal, the left-handed opening batter. 83, 95 not out, 52, 83 in the semi-final against India, and 55 not out in the final against Sri Lanka. That's quite the run for the 23-year-old. I would imagine he'll force his way into that squad against Bangladesh on the back of that, as we get through a maiden over from Harmeet Singh. 99 for 1 the score. So yeah, lots of sport on a Sunday. We've got the NFL to come today. Be keeping half an eye on that out the side of our laptops here, but we'll also keep going with your questions. We'll get to those through this Jesse Singh over. Lots of messages about the Nepal women's football team. And Sudeep from EAM says, I can't believe this is hacked away into the leg side for what's just going to be a single to bring the 100 up. I can't believe you actually responded. Thank you, Lenny. You are the best, and you did pronounce it right. But also, we've sparked an old epidemic online as the Nepal fans celebrate the 100. Aditya Giri says, why have you not said Bir Gunj? What about Butwal as well? Well, the Butwal boss, Kushal Bertel, is in. We can't name every place in Nepal. We'll do our best.
Yeah, cut Lenny some slack. He's doing everything he can, trying to spread around the love. But yeah, it's good to see the Nepali faithful in attendance today, as well as online, tuning in, and can't keep them away, can you? And they've been delighted to a treat so far. But Lenny, this feels like the moment for the Americans to maybe find a little bit of momentum.
Yeah, possibly. There are times I get messages as well in Nepali, and that's where it's really, because I've got about 20 or 30 words. I can kind of basically say hello and how are you, and I'm well and all is good. I can kind of say thank you and you're welcome and a few bits and pieces, but when it comes in the Devanagari script, which is what the official language of Nepal is written in, and the old Nawari script, I can't understand it. Now, Google Translate occasionally bails me out, but yeah, I'll try my best. As they're the shots I think Anil Sad needs to put out of the locker. You just don't need to play them, do you?
No, again, there's no need to give the Americans any momentum back into this game. Give Jesse Singh any reason to get back in the game, who seems to be back amongst the pace a little bit. Not quite Jesse Singh pace, but you can see him start to rile it up a bit. But yeah, the momentum's a fickle thing. You give a side momentum, it just seems to continue to flow like a river. And right now, everything's with Nepal. Just don't want to put a break in that and give the U.S. something to come back to life on. They're searching for wickets and needing them.
Also just been, I'm going to retweet this, sorry if you're not on Twitter or whatever it's called these days. I've been sent the most incredible photo here by Yobraj Sadai. He says, hi Cricket Badge, at Cricket Badge, hi Andrew. One of my dad's close friends, Samir Joshi, wanted me to share this with you. He's not on Twitter, but he's watching the coverage live from Nepal. Have a look at this, man. This photo was taken on the final day after the national games in the 1980s. I think this is in the Tudikil kind of, it's the main park right downtown in Kathmandu. This was before there was any international cricket in Nepal. As this goes miles into the air, it could be the second wicket. It's Van Schalkwyk that comes round and puts it down. And you can't really say you're surprised. If you're looking for a microcosm of everything that USA have been through over the last 48 hours, that's it. Maybe the only surprise that of all people to put down the catch, it's Shadley Van Schalkwyk.
Well, had a similar chance 2 days ago, wasn't it? Running to his right. He was a little bit deeper out, but chance to take a catch, puts it down, came straight off the hands. This one was in the air for a while, was spiraling just a little bit, but you can see it was never quite under it. Hands were nowhere near the ball. Like you rightfully said, it's just a microcosm of what these past 48 hours have been for the USA.
But it's just totally unnecessary from Anil Shah. He doesn't need to do that. They're going along at over 5 and over, and he's just given them a chance from nothing. It wasn't full enough to hit down the ground. He doesn't need to go in the air over mid-on. Jesse Singh, again, doesn't look in full fluency. Better over from him. 5 runs from it. Should have been the second wicket. Van Schalkwyk comes over to apologise. But we were just talking about that photo that's been sent to us. Get one more look at the drop. It did go a long way up. It wasn't easy, but this has to be taken.
No, and Shelley Van Schalkwyk would tell you he should have taken this 100%. Again, you can see his hands were never in the right place. It was well too far left. He didn't seem to be in the right position under the ball. And little basics haven't gone the way of the USA. But you rightfully said, no reason to play that shot if you're no sir.
The Nepal fans certainly loved it. They really did. Yeah, Nepal only became a associate member of the ICC in 1996, and that was the year that they first played any international of any kind. So that photo we'd been sent maybe 10 or 12 years before that. Just the style, though, Aman. Big fan of some of the style on show there. The old cable knit sweaters, the whites. And of course, the Dhaka topis in the middle as well. I'd imagine, we can't see the pitch they were playing on, but I'd imagine there was a fair bit of spin bowled. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it wouldn't have surprised me to see a little bit of the wrist work come out on that surface. Not like the one we have here in Grand Prairie.
Tudikil is probably, if you think of Mumbai and you think of, is it called the Maidan or the Gymkhana, where the kind of the main public thoroughfare where you can get 15 or 20 plus games of cricket on at the same time. That's what Tudikil is in, particularly on a Saturday and Sunday morning in Kathmandu. I've heard stories of people getting up, travelling through pitch black to make sure they're there at time to get the best pitch, because it's kind of it's really just
first come first serve.
Yeah, it's not exactly like you're reserving the pitch and paying for it. It's you're coming in and kind of saying no, our game is here. And certainly, I think volleyball is technically the national sport for Nepal, but cricket has absolutely taken over in every capacity, with the storied rise of the team over the last decade plus. And they've been such a good story, haven't they, for the associate game. Harmeet Singh just causing a bit of threat here. Bertel taking a little while to get going. 19 bowled, USA. Credit to them, starting to fight back. 105 for 1.
Yeah, credit indeed. They are fighting back, and it's good to see that from the American point of view. And American fans outnumbered by the Nepalis. Not uncommon in this part, in Dallas especially, when you have a big cry of Nepal population around, and for the first time after that weekend, you could start to hear a little bit of the Dirty Dozens make some noise. But again, you mentioned how good Nepal is for the associate game. What hasn't been good for the USA today has been what they've done with the ball. Harmeet Singh is starting to find some rhythm. The economy's come back down, and Jesse Singh with the wicket. But the wickets come out of nowhere. There's no one that feels threatening, really.
Yeah, only 4 bowlers used thus far. And just speaking of those American fans, just had a really good question come in online from Zoe, who's watching on from Las Vegas, of all places.
Beautiful.
And I think the Raiders have a bye week this week, or they're certainly not at home today. 50 for Anil Shah. It's come off 51 balls as the crowd rises to him. He's played nicely. He has had that life and a bit of fortune. Probably not quite as in control as Asif Sheikh was. 5 fours, 51 balls. Well played.
Yeah, third one-day international 50 for Anil Shah. And again, you mentioned probably not as in control as he would have wanted to, but he's put the impetus on the USA. He's taken advantage of anything with the width. He's played brilliantly through the covers, and he's put on a great platform for Nepal.
The question from Zoe is, she's got into cricket since watching the T20 World Cup. She says, I know that in T20 a bowler can bowl 4 overs, but is there a maximum for the number of overs that a bowler can bowl in one-day international cricket. There is. It's proportionately the exact same as a T20. So in T20 cricket, you can only bowl 4. You're correct, which is you have to therefore use at least 5 bowlers of 4 each. You can use more than that, but you have to use a minimum. In ODI cricket, it's the exact same. You have to use 5 bowlers. Therefore, the maximum that any one bowler can bowl is 10 overs. There were days, actually back at the start of ODI cricket, it was 60 overs and sometimes 55 where you could bowl 11 or 12, but they always kind of compel you to bowl 5, which it's for a couple of reasons really. It's to add balance to the teams, and it's to ensure that it's not just the same bowlers bowling over and over again. But great to hear from you, Zoe, in the bright lights of Las Vegas. And I've got to retweet this one as well, because Ashish Tahal says, speaking of Halloween, we heard you talking about Halloween. I dressed up as Rowan Powdle for the Halloween block party yesterday in Athens, Ohio.
Beautiful. How about that? Rowan Powdle walking around the streets of Athens, Ohio. That wasn't on my 2024 bingo card.
He's wishing the Nepal team all the best. I just love the fact there's an Athens in Ohio. I know there's a Dublin in Ohio. And some people know this. I don't know if you know this. I'm only half Irish, Shaman. Did you know that?
I actually did not know that. Only half Irish.
Okay, well, I've probably given it away, but you can guess where my other half is from. It's not Nepal. You might think it's Nepal. It pretty much is now. If you cut me in half, I'd bleed half Nepali. But where do you reckon the other half's from?
So you got to be Greek.
Correct.
Yeah? There you go.
So the fact that there's a Dublin, Ohio, and there's an Athens, Ohio.
You got to get back up to Ohio.
Great to see plenty of fans and colour and style in the crowd today. But yeah, so maybe Ohio is the place I've got to be. And now that there's some Nepal fans there too.
You've talked to me how you love football. That's where American football was born, Canton, Ohio. So it just seems like the perfect place for Andrew Leonard. Yeah, that's where the Hall of Fame is over there. And that's why Cleveland Browns fans...
Why was it born there then? Is it just the first place it was played?
Yeah, it was the first place that they had, I think, organized American football happening. And
wow.
So the Hall of Fame is there. And
I would have thought... Sorry to cut you. I would have thought... Pennsylvania or somewhere of the real history and heritage of the country. I think baseball started out somewhere there, didn't it?
Yes, I believe the baseball started out somewhere in the Northeast.
In the kind of East Coast. Wow, Ohio.
See, you got to get over there, Lenny. I had family in Ohio for the longest period of time. I have some family who've just moved over there, so I've been there on multiple occasions. But yeah, Canton, Ohio.
10 football teams gathered there in 1920. There we go. I genuinely did not know that. It's known as the birthplace of football. And the NFL was hilariously organised in a Canton automobile showroom.
Yeah.
T20. And one of the early powers of pro football was the Canton Bulldogs. They were an NFL charter member, and they became the new league's first 2-time champions with undefeated seasons in 22 and 23. End of the 20th over here, 109 for 1. As Nosh Kenjige is going to come into the attack for the first time. Yeah, if there's any Greek cricket fans watching, I think that might be a big ask. Please do get in touch.
So just learning all about Andrew Leonard, and he's learned a lot about the States now as well. And let's learn a lot about Nosh Kenjige today and what he's going to be going through, what he has to offer, because didn't have the greatest of days 48 hours ago, but has to be able to find himself a wicket in today's play. And Kusha Bartelli's just starting to get himself going. But only a matter of time, you expect, before we see maybe a Sanjay Krishnamurti, maybe a Milind Kumar come into the attack just to give another option to Monank Patel. Fielder brought in to short cover after that single.
Better for Manuel Sapp. Don't need to take risk in these middle overs. You definitely want to keep putting pressure on USA by putting the bad balls away and picking up the 1s and 2s. But there is a lot of power to come. You think about captain in at 4, but particularly Gulshan Jha and Dipender Singh Hari at 5 and 6. If they could have a platform of 10, 15 overs to bat that these two and Powdle could give them, well, then Nepal will definitely be thinking of 300 plus.
Yeah, plenty of power in that Nepal side. We've talked about Gulchan Jha, Depinder Singh Airi, Rohit Paudel. So plenty of those guys who can come in and really accelerate when you need to. But if you can get to that 30-over mark with just the 1 wicket down, maybe 2, you're in a real position to put on some runs. And there's a lot of pressure now going to be put on the USA top order that just had a really poor showing with the bat, and a lot of them coming off some poor form. You see a youngster collect that one at short third. That's Yasser Mohammed, and you almost feel like he's soon to be into the team at some point. Just give you another bowling option. He's a leggy who hasn't been a part of the T20s nor the ODIs as of yet. Lenny?
I think he's on for Jesse Singh, if I'm seeing it right. Don't see Singh in the outfield at the moment, so he's on as a subfielder. Plenty of questions and comments coming in about the upcoming Nepal Premier League too. There's a huge amount of excitement for that. That's going to be the inaugural edition of... There has been plenty of franchise cricket historically in Nepal going back many years, but this is the first kind of board owned, organised and arranged franchise league. And again, that goes back to the stability that Paris Khadka has brought to the board, to the organisation. He's the secretary, and then he'll answer into the board and work with the board on all the things that they're doing. But 8 teams, which is a big statement. The Bharatnagar Kings, the Chitwan Rhinos, the Janakpur Bolts, the Karnali Yaks, the Kathmandu Gurkhas, the Lumbini Lions, the Pokhara Avengers, and then the Dipendra Singh Airi marquee-led Sudar Prashim Royals. And that's obviously Sudar Prashim is a province where there's a huge amount of cricket, but it's a lovely thing the way they've designed it. They've actually kind of spread the teams across the whole breadth of the country, right the way from the far west, from Sudar Prashim out to the far east to Bharatnagar. And some of the overseas players just getting signed. The local players are all signed through a draft, man. And you can imagine some of the big... There was kind of a marquee player assigned to each of the 8. That was Lamachani, Kushal Malla, Asif Sheikh, Sampal Kami, Karen KC, Rohit Paudel, the national team captain Kushal Bertel, and of course Dipender Singh Airi. But then, because the draft was held just after the Canada tour, the demand for the likes of Gulshan Jha and Anil Shah and Lalit Rajbanshi in particular was very strong. And they were some of the highest bid for players. As this is edged and dropped. It's a second catch that's gone down. And it's Manik Patel, the captain. Not easy, but another one that you would imagine that should have been held.
Well, you bring in Sarabjit Thavalkar for this exact reason. He's looking to take a wicket, Manik Patel. He's brought in this main strike bowler, and you can see the disappointment on his face. That's an opportunity that you would expect to take. Yes, tough. Yes, diving out to your right. But you're expecting that Thavalkar to push it away, carrying on with the angle. It's caught a little outside edge as Patel looked to drive it through covers. And he had hit square in the palm, really closer to the wrist, and went straight down. Manik Patel will be upset with himself after that one.
Now he comes up to the stumps. He certainly won't be catching a ball that's edged that wide up to the stumps. So it was Anil Shah that had the life. I think he was dropped on 45, was it, off Jesse Singh? And now Kushal Bertel gets one. It's not an easy chance, but you'd back your keeper to take this, wouldn't you? Did he react a little bit late, if anything?
Yeah, he's in a position understanding that the ball is going to be pushed away, and I think that's the biggest thing. You're not anticipating coming over the wicket as Sarabjit Thavalkar with a ball that's 22 overs old to swing it back in, so you're anticipating it to leave you. You have to be in the position. And you just felt that he was probably maybe a step in, and probably did react just a touch later than we're accustomed to seeing from Manik Patel. Usually so sharp, whether that is in cover. We've seen him with some exceptional stops in that T20 series, and with the gloves in hand, he's also quite brilliant. But he's put one down. This one could be a big one. Bertel, he's really found form in those T20s. Put together a brilliant half century, and he's looking to capitalize on that chance.
Yeah, you've just got a bit of control back, haven't they, after that initial breakthrough? Could well have had 3 on the board. 2 catches have gone down. First one was regulation, really. No, it wasn't the easiest. And then the second one, a difficult chance for Madank Patel going to his right, who looks, well, not exactly pleased with himself with the gloves on. Now the outside edge beaten. Nepal just getting themselves in a muddle here. A little bit of their own making. 22 have been bowled. 116 for one. Of course, we've spoken at length about Ohio there without mentioning one of its finest sons, Ali Khan, from Dayton, Ohio. No, he lives in Texas now, but still proud of his, how do I say it, Ohioan roots?
Ohio, I think that's right. I think you did that. You and Ohio are just becoming best of pals right now.
Become even better pals if they go a certain way in the upcoming election, but we won't get into that. We had enough election chat the other day, didn't we? As Kenjige is going to continue.
That election's a hot topic, Lenny. Again, it's all we were leaving the hotel this morning, and that's all that was being talked about on the TV. So again, wouldn't be surprised that it's muddling around up there.
The thing that you don't get from overseas, like I follow all the election coverage incredibly closely wherever I am in the world, whether you're on CNN or online or whatever it is. But the thing you don't get, you only get when you're here, is the scale of advertising.
Mm-hmm.
So like watching the college football game last night.
Yep.
Really entertaining. Every time, went to a break, you were seeing a Ted Cruz for Senate ad that said nothing about Ted Cruz. It just said stuff about his opponent.
It's become almost a whole production in itself, hasn't it? The political ads, whether that is of whatever party, whatever candidate. They don't tend to talk a lot about the candidate in particular. You get the last maybe 10 seconds to talk about your candidate, but the other, say 20 if you have a 30-second ad. Or
yeah, this is a full toss, smashed down the ground, but long on is in place. Mukamala holds on. Anil Shah has just found a way to give it away. It's a poor delivery, isn't it? He could have hit it anywhere, and all he's done is hole out. It was almost as though he just couldn't get settled. He played nicely, he's got to 50, but he's managed to find a way almost to conspire to get himself out. I can't give any credit to the bowler there. Credit to Mukamala for holding on to the catch. And USA somehow have got their second.
Yeah, I know Sal was given a life in his 40s, and he just never felt comfortable since that point. It's a dipping full toss, but it's still a rank full toss. Really should have been put outside the ground or even placed, but he's hit it right down the throat of Mukamala. And for the first time in that USA camp, in 48 hours, you're seeing smiles across the face of the majority of people in the group, and not wry smiles. These are smiles of a team that feels they're back in it. I know Saw, good innings from him, 56 off 62, but it kind of just came off the rails towards the end, and those dirty dozens, these USA fans are starting to appreciate. They see themselves on the big screen, and they're finally given something to cheer for.
They are great lads, these lads. Got to get down there and have a chat to them during the interval. Actually, just heard from Ali Khan. I can't claim credit for knowing this, but continuing the Ohioan chat. A fun fact, he says to me, the Wright brothers.
They're from Ohio, but the first flight's in North Carolina. Don't let them tell you differently.
Kitty Hawk in North Carolina.
There it is.
So there's that North Carolina. I've been to Kitty Hawk.
Yeah.
One of the most beautiful beaches I reckon I've ever seen.
Brilliant. I actually have never been there in person.
Oh.
As a North Carolinian, that hurts me to say, but
how far away is it from you?
It's off the coast, so you have to drive about probably closer to 3 hours, and then probably take a ferry.
And you've never been there?
Never been out there. Actually, it's crazy. I was born closer to the coast as well.
I'm really disappointed in you. I'm not often disappointed in you. Rowan Powell to the crease. He's at number 4. Captain comes to the crease. USA all of a sudden have a jig in their step and have inroads into this Nepal team. A lot of it's been of Nepal's doing, I must say. There hasn't been much from USA. Now just a little bit of turn on offer. Only 2 runs in the over. The game is coming back into the balance. 23 have been bowled. It's 118 for 2, according to Ali Khan. A big shout out to the Yorker King himself. Great to hear from you as always, mate. He says that they have a university named after them in Dayton and an Air Force base.
They do.
The Wright brothers.
They actually owned a bike store up in Ohio before they came down to North Carolina to go ahead and...
Yeah, it was kind of like it was hybrid's probably the wrong description, but it was kind of an evolution of a bike style design that finally helped things to take flight. Without them, I certainly may not be here. And, well, Nepal might not have been able to get the jet plane either to come and bring you this Cricket World Cup League 2 action. I'm really enjoying having you along with us. We're into the 24th over now, as Bertel just hasn't looked settled as he's battled. This is such an important game for both sides, but particularly for Nepal. Played 8. They've won only 1 game so far. There's 36 matches. There's a lot of cricket to be played. It goes all the way to December 2026. But they don't want to come away from this tour without any points. They need to get winning some games.
Again, it's a long tour, but you start losing early and you just put yourself in a hole, and now every game would mean more with the win. And so you don't want to have to replicate what you did in the first edition. Well, every Nepali fan would love those consecutive wins. You have to find a way to pick some points up now, early. And this really feels like you can take USA on when they're most vulnerable. We've talked about new head coach in town, a team that's coming off of 4 consecutive losses, 3 in the T20 phase, then in the ODI phase, to Scotland just 2 days ago. And again, for the early part of this match, it was all Nepal, but Bertel, very differently from the openers, has started to fetch outside the off stump, just prod at deliveries that were left alone or hammered.
That's better. Cover drive, but there's protection. The second power play is always different. And another misfield. Oh, that was regulation. And there's a big collection of the Nepal fans out on that far side because they're taking the shade from the scoreboard. That section's almost entirely full, actually, over underneath the scoreboard. And they can't quite make out the fielder. I just wonder, is it possibly Milan Kumar out there? With the misfield, we'll get that checked. It's a long way away from our commentary position. It's the very opposite corner of the ground. But the Nepal fans loved it and let him know.
Yeah, again, anytime you're going to put that misfield out there or put anything happening, the Nepal fans will make sure you hear it. I actually had looked down to scribble something down, and then I heard the roar and said, I got to look back up to see what's happened. So I'll always let you know something's going on out there in the middle.
Another misfield. Won't cost a run this time, as Kenjige isn't able to react quickly enough. We'll keep going with these questions, Aman. They are flooding in on social media. I'm just not keeping up with them, so apologies, the ones we're missing. People asking how to watch the game. Lots of people asking how to watch the game. Stick Sports in Nepal on ICC TV around the world. And also here in North America in Willow TV. As it's a good tide over, just the 3 runs come from it. Yeah, Astik Pockerell's getting in touch and asking about that Festival of the Himalayas. How will the competition work? That's the upcoming Nepal Premier League, so that will be 8 teams. They'll all play each other once, and then they'll come through, I believe, into an IPL style playoff. So it's from the 30th of November through to the 21st or maybe 22nd of December. I'll get that checked when the grand final will be. 21st of December at the TU International Cricket Ground. But some of the overseas players is the question that I've been asked. All 8 have now announced at least one overseas player, and there has been a bit of conjecture online as to the number of full member overseas that are allowed, but some really big names have already been signed up. Aki Bilias, captain, is going to join Sandeep Lamachani, and Kevin O'Brien, the former Irish all-rounder, one of my best pals, who's going to be the head coach of the Bratnagar Kings. I know how excited he is to get back to Nepal. As an edge is taken, and that's a wonderful catch, and USA have come to life from nowhere. Bertel just never looks set, and a fine diving effort going swiftly across to his right from Shadley Van Schalkvik. He dropped one earlier, but he's held on to this one, and USA well, from nowhere, coming back maybe from the depths of hell to bring this contest back into the balance. The moment of the match thus far, an outstanding catch from the America's all-rounder.
Had to right the wrong of that earlier drop, and you can see Patel never looks set, just almost closed the face, but outstanding, one-handed, diving out, full out, and what, for me here, the emotion on display. Nash Kenjige, big hug, Yasser Muhammad roaring in. You saw Harmeet Singh with the big smile, Monang Patel with the big fist bump and a high five. This is the American team we've grown to expect and come to really enjoy watching. Nepal, got to find a way to get going. Gulshan Jha will join them. It's 121 for 3.
Well, it's not going to be Gulshan Jha, so we'll have to ask our graphics team to correct that, because it's the diminutive figure of Asif Sheikh. He's often the man for a crisis, and this to me indicates a change in approach from Monty Desai. He always has flexibility in his lineup. The lineup we were given indicated that Jha would be at 5, Irie at 6, and then Arif Sheikh down at number 7. But they've gone with the Iceman. He's known as being very cool and calm under pressure. This game, well, 35 minutes ago, it looked like Nepal could post 400 and USA would be blitzed away. It's changed in a matter of moments. And you would have to say that particularly for Asif Sheikh and Dev Canal's the travelling reserve, and for Anil Shah, they're the architects of their own downfall. They haven't fallen to good deliveries. This was nicely bowled by Kenjige to dismiss Kushal Patel, but they just did. Is it a misread of the match situation as we get one more look at this spectacular catch?
Yeah, again, it almost felt like they thought everything was just going to keep going their way. Again, spectacular catch indeed, and the USA have taken advantage of those opportunities when they've come up, apart from the 2 drops. But again, that almost throw the hands, that one that was a little bit wider, just the rank shot that was played. You just seen them think, okay, I've done my part, time to get on with it. When, again, like you mentioned earlier, bad time, stick in the middle. The USA at that point didn't have any momentum, didn't have any life, any juice in their steps, and right now they're back.
Nice use of the feet by Powell, and he's so quick he'll get home comfortably, even though mid-on is up in the circle. And credit to Kenjige as well. He's probably one of USA's most experienced players. You'll always think of him as young, but he's not young. He just looks young. He looks like a kid, doesn't he? But he's 33 years of age. He's in immaculate condition always. And for me, this is the better of the 2 white ball formats for him. I don't think he's a bad T20 bowler, but certainly you think about the fact that he only made his T20 debut. I think it was last year, wasn't it? His T20I debut came against Canada in 2024, which you look astounded by. But he had this remarkable record where I think he'd played something like 42 ODIs without having played a T20I yet.
Well, maybe that... I'm thinking about those matches in Morrisville, the qualifiers, sub-regional qualifiers back in 2018. Those might not have been officially T20Is, but I reckon, or I feel like he was part of those.
They weren't. He did play 6 games that weren't T20Is, but the whole period from 2019 through to 2024, he never played. So Kareem Agor was initially in place, and then Nisarg Patel was the incumbent left-arm spinner. And then it's actually somewhat ironic that when Harmeet Singh qualified and became available, it was then, I think it was Stuart Law who made the call that we've got to get Nash Kenjige in. Look at him in Major League last year. He's a super bowler. But for me, I don't think he's as good a he's not a bad T20 bowler by any stretch, but he's a much better ODI bowler, and his career numbers kind of would suggest that as well. Really good economy rate in particular, as we